the thing about quotes is they're not they're like poetry in the sense they're rich, but people don't go around speaking poetry to each other. A quote, you do. You actually share it.
Well, I know you were saying that now you've written over 10,000 or
Quite a bit.
20,000 quotes, and some of these are sent to President Trump on a daily basis. And they're also inspiring a lot of other people. And you were kind of telling me how quotes are more effective.
Just like Hallmark cards writes sentiments in their cards, people can express those sentiments a little bit better. I help people express themselves through quotes that they select. Now, in a, in a sense, lots of people have lots of quotes, but when they say lots, they mean like I have 10 to 100, you know. My 20,000 quotes has been written up over, a 30, 40-year period and saved for a one-time blast, which is now. It covers all the success trait categories, all the subcategories: poise, risk-taking, imagination, creativity, organization, management, leadership. So, and it covers all the 13 great spheres of human endeavor and enterprise. It even covers the 5 major categories of nature, and finally, the principal mindsets of decision makers. So, uh, it's almost like what you have in the 20,000 quotes is a magic book, a magic mirror. You could hold it up to your mind and you say, wow, this shows me where I have things in my mind that match up with the quotes. Oh, and these I don't see it. So it's like a wonderful tool for creating a whole mind. And there is a wonderful sense of, how would I say it right? Most people are locked into piecemeal and they work hard on certain, but when you have this many quotes aligned with the categories, um, you get the whole complete game. It gives you more of a life like, wow, life's more like a flower arrangement than it is one flower. So, again, all kinds of people have some quotes, but it's like a few flowers. Mine are many depths deep, and they cover everything. So now that I mean, I can go to a person. I was at a entrepreneurs dinner the other night, about 40 people, and I got to talk about the quotes and things. And I went around to people. And it was wonderful. What I did was instead of just coming at them with, say, a lengthy piece of my spiel about myself, I just talked to them and I got to ask what they're doing, and then I matched quotes to their keywords and their phrases, and everybody, it's an absolute winner. It's an absolute winner. A curious thing about books and quotes for people is like you have the one book, quote, Caffeine, which is a little bit larger. Absolute wonderful book to cozy up with by the fire and read and just kind of linger on. But when you go to a meeting, like a network meeting, and you want to pass books out or you want to get known, you can't. It has to be quicker. So we made the second one, the Royal Caffeine, for a big conference about the Knights of Constantine. Well, here's what we found out: they would, if they're talking to each other, if you have more than one quote on the page, they'll close it and they won't read it. But if you have it in big print, people read it and then they share it. Another thing happens. It's why I've cut down. I used to believe in doing books of 100 quotes because they're just, but no, it's too much. And here's why: as people, if the book's thin enough, their mind says, I can read this and it won't take up too much time. The moment it starts to be even visually bigger to them, their mind says, we're going to have to speed through this. So instead of enjoying the quotes, they'll speed through it. So this is kind of like shows how fine-tuned you get, you know? So what I want to do is I don't have the energy to go out and sell myself to everybody. I don't know everybody. But if you have an email list, a follower list, a genuine audience, say you're a high school football coach, uh, I don't just almost any walk of life where you've built up, friends and followers, you can create a what I call a hybrid book. 30 quotes. You can bring your own, but you can fill it out with mine. Okay. You can add a couple stories, maybe only one. You create the title. It's a co-author book. You create the title, and you can put it's like a big business card. In it, you can put about what your business is. Think of it, it's way better as a business card. Most people already get a little business card, which is okay. You have a contact. Man, this tells you quotes. It shows you values and visions I have. It shows you the wisdom I believe in. Shows the success traits. And not only that, people don't throw away books quotes. They just don't. They put them in a drawer and they will look at them. That makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
oh, definitely. Because you have like the daily quotes. People, that's like something that's been around forever. People want to, read the quotes from famous people throughout history. So it's something that's been around, that sticks with you.
Yeah, I think what's happened, I belong to, the mastermind class and mastermind and Carnegie Principle, uh, Association. Well, you'll find out that the people who are into living their best, okay, into, achieving much, to becoming masters of something, they like quotes. They have this almost a secret quote language that's way more developed than what the average person gets. I mean, it's literally integrated to how they speak to each other and greatly speeds up communication and great gets people right to the point. You also have a real deep intellectual satisfaction. These are not primarily cute little bromides. They are well thought out that arrows that go right to the mark. And so there's like almost like it's like a secret that most people don't really know that there's people developing this language to a really uh, fine degree. It just actually, let's think. Okay, we're thinking. What are the quotes that go with thinking? What are the quotes that go with focus? Focus is not a matter of hocus pocus. It's a matter of focus, focus, focus. People get make yourself amazing. Okay. Stay on, if you get shot, stay on the horse and keep riding. These things keep people in the zone, keep them going. It's almost like they're learning to refuel in midair. Yeah. So, but they have other ones on discipline. Always taking the next right step, clearing the runway of obstacles. They're very short, but for the people who use this language, it super speeds them up. And this should be brought to the whole world, and that's part of what I wanna do. Book by book. In other words, somebody like you might say, "Hey, I got 2,000 people. Make it a Christmas gift, make it a holiday gift, and then put your commentary. Don't ju you can choose the quotes for sure, that's unique, but if you put your own commentary, what do you wanna do for people? Say to them, 'Look, I actually wanna help your family. I wanna help your education. I'm gonna encourage you. Here's some thoughts I have." And these are quotable. You'll be able to use them. The thing about quotes is they're like poetry in the sense they're rich, but people don't go around speaking poetry to each other. A quote, you do. You actually share it. That makes sense, Melissa?
Oh, definitely. And now I know we talked a little bit about it before, but what got you so, like, interested in, like, in words and quotes and just the whole, just the whole background to this? What kind of got you interested, like, when you were younger? I'm curious.
Well, it's true. No different than Mark Twain. Mark Twain said, "I was born with a love of language, and that would turn out to be the great key to my life." So, my mother taught me to read at age 3, and I thought about it. Uh No, you cannot say that, I got clever or I developed some notion. I was born with a love of language, and, I've never had writer blocks all these years. I've never had a day. Can you believe that? At age 16, I was introduced to, Coach John Wooden. Are you aware of who he is? Most
Yes.
people are.
Yep.
Some people when the younger people sometimes aren't, but, at any rate, my high school basketball team, I was a 6'4" guard. We went down and watched the UCLA. And I heard him do these quotes, and people don't know, but Coach John Wooden was the 5th greatest writer in US arts and literature of quotes.
Oh,
He wrote
wow.
about 300. Nobody knows that I have the whole collection, and hardly anybody else does. Um, there was, Ralph Waldo Emerson was 4,000, which is amazing. Uh, and then Mark Twain, 1,000, Benjamin Franklin, 1,000, and then Will Rogers, 300, and then Coach Wood. So I came home from that. I said, "Wow, I wanted to be a writer all along." And I'd been fighting that. I'd written like, just essays, but I wasn't getting that standout. What makes it stand out? So I was trying to get, how do I make something stand out? Then I was trying poetry and rhymes. I remember at 13 and 14. I said, nobody talks like that. You don't talk in rhymes to each other. That's not going to work. So I went to free poetry, free verse, which was better. But one day I said, well, you still don't talk that way. So when I heard Wood, I said, that's it. That's it. It says, if I could write one good line that really stands out and sings and people use it, that's good. That's what I want to do. And so I said, I'm going to become the best. Imagine I've been at this all these years. You're talking way back 50, 55, 57 years ago. At age 16, I said, I want to end up being the best quote writer in the world. It's kind of funny. Maybe that's what I did.
That's amazing, though. Yeah, and then look at all these you ended up doing it and surpassing that, so that's crazy.
Yeah, no one's written more than 4,000, just King Solomon and just Ralph Waldo Emerson. By the way, Emerson is still chiefly understood as the dean of all American writers. His 4,000 quotes in his essays made him considered the third greatest writer of English literature after Milton and Shakespeare. So those little quotes are not just, they're not really for just entertaining. They're not. They're entertaining so they can get you. They're creatively worded so they get you to think. That's what Wooden did. Wood said, the singular saying was the seed of a singular player. And they had short attention spans. And through these quotes of mine, I can get in with that short attention span. And that's where we are today, isn't it? Everybody's got, that's why I'm saying the use of quotes, I really believe I'm going to become, it's going to really explode upwards here because people, they still want to hear something, especially, well, here's really cool. On the one hand, your mind says, I have a first glance defense, and so if it takes too long, I'm not looking. 'Cause they have to. There's all bombarded all day. It switches though. If something's short enough and bright enough, I love that. I love a little. It's a little show. It's a little energy boost. I like that. That's like a little. That's why I called it quote caffeine. It's a little caffeine, and they do like it. That means that there's a handful. There's only a handful of things that you can reach people with. They have to be short. Cartoons, book titles, headlines. By the way, the most expensive writers in the world are headline writers for like the tabloids. You know what they get? Upwards as much as 75,000 a word. Can you imagine that
Wow. Oh my goodness, just to get the perfect headline to catch people's attention. That's
for the big tabloids? I mean, so that's the value. Somebody, but like I say, a quote will do it, a cartoon will do it, but there's relatively few things that will do it. Most people just, hey, we don't have time to waste. So, and I call them, there's aphorisms, there's, maxims, there's axioms, there's, uh, you know, bullet points, but that's what I concentrated all these years on. It's really a beautiful thing, but it leads to, you don't always stay in quotes. What happens is you get good at writing the fine line. It just, what you get, people don't read words, by the way, they read standout lines. They read what stands out to them. So it's an art. To say things extremely short and really vibrant, it's a real art. It's not just simple, you know?
no, it definitely takes a lot. It takes definitely talent because you just got it something that really stands out to people and that can resonate with, various people no matter what walk of life.
And that's what I want to know. I think we began the last, so let me tie the hybrid books. Again, watch this. Um, Common language. Okay, common language. Okay. Um, to have a nation, one definition of a nation is a common language using people. If you have too much division in your language level, you got real problems for your psyche, for your relationships, and for your country. Um, so at the bottom is what kind of words do you? Because here's why: everyone has an a priori conceptual mind. That means that's what you have already in your head, and it brokers everything. Language in you makes things stand out or blanks out. So all emphasis should be on, wait a minute, what kind of language do we have here? So the quotes are part of, imagine I've lived a life where I've built houses and complexes. I've gone to Yale. I served at orphanage 4.5 years. I'm a writer, big writer. I'm in 2 movies now on quantum, on quantum intelligence and things. And I'm about to come out with a blockbuster book so big, it's called no, uh, Universal Principles by Geometrical Shapes. So, and I'm a builder. Um, you can get a lot of life coaches and you can get a lot of leadership trainers. You can't get too many real master builders who are also good at Yale level education. So what I'm saying is my quotes in a way are a chronicle of my interactions that I then codified into memorable quotes so they're never lost. So my whole life has been writing a book. It's one big book with lots and lots and lots of quotes. But instead of writing sentences and paragraphs, I said, can I break it down into quotes? Don't you think that's a marvelous, if you think about it, it's very one of a kind, but it took years and years to do it, but it's here. It's here.
Right. And to
And
refine
everybody
that.
can come and say, hey, you know what? I think I'll do a 30 quote book and I'm going to help people, could be your kids. I'm going to have key verses on education. Education is competence, character, calling. You know, or I want to do it on creativity, uh, Okay? Creativity, swimming in the imaginarium. Yeah, and then you write your little quote to maybe it was to your niece or somebody, say, "Hey, this little quote, remember to use your imagination." Another one turns to, "Hey, in life, uh, you might get knocked down, but don't stay down." Yeah, I'm just saying you can guide it. And here's where I think it's gonna go. Everybody's gonna do this one day. It's just why not? Imagine you wanna apply for college. Well, let me stop for a second. Is actually trying to get people to interact. It's to know that I thought about you enough to write this down. And I really didn't get this by just being clever. I was thinking about you. Then you come to somebody like this and say, "Well, Eric didn't really get this right about," which some people might think, "Well, I'm just plain clever." I'm not. It's the chronicle of interaction, but I've learned to think, do, complete, and make that into a little quote. Therefore, when you read my quotes, it puts you on that path. Think, do, complete. And you can say, Eric's not an egghead over here. He's not a celebrity over here. This is like the real life. What stands out to a master builder? What stood out to a Yale person? What stood out to a person that served an orphanage? That is a life beyond technology. I'm not trying to get people to be technology people. We're going to use it as part of, for sure. But you can't end the human interaction. That makes sense?
Yeah, and I think do you think in a way that that's missing, human interaction and the like, when people used to, discuss ideas and brainstorm and have individuals I mean, have, like, these things where it was, like, encouraged, like, even children in school. Do you think we're missing that as a society?
Yeah, we're killing it. And it comes back down to language. There are different species of language. Okay. The language, if a master builder's words are not correlated to just more words and more words. They work with three-dimensional living, right? Same way with a good parent, same way with a really good professor. Everybody who's real knows how to build three-dimensionally. They don't just think, they think and work. And they don't even just think and work. They think, work, and they complete it with beauty. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine you have a language, okay, think, do, thinker, doer, completer, okay? And then you fill those in with lots of key words. Okay, with thinking comes feeling, with thinking comes thought. Okay, with thinking comes focus. Then you go to doing. That comes with discipline. That comes with teamwork. That comes with family. Okay, we go to completion. That comes with beauty. That comes with building. That comes with art. Oh, okay. Now you're building a medium where people's living words and attention given to you are key to your high growth. If you destroy that medium and you substitute images, that's another kind of language. Images with no real people is symbolic language, real symbolic language. I mean, literally so symbolic, there's no substance to it. Okay. It's a point of view to a point of view to a point of view. It's okay to have that if you have the other medium, then there's like a cartoon. Okay, that's kind of funny. But if it's your real thing, you're developing kids who can't go from they have feelings, but they can't go on to work. And if they can't work, they sure as heck can't go on to building a culture or an economy. And so,
That's
in
true,
other
or
words,
conceptualizing, being able to express themselves.
okay, I think, some people are gonna get a real revelation what I'm saying, okay? Language was originally oral language. What that means is when somebody gave you language, you got them. You got attention. You got eye contact. Now imagine when I was a little child, my mother began to teach me to read at age 3, very early. Think about it. My language was not about the words. The words came from the interaction with a three-dimensional person who had beauty. And when I went back and forth with her, she made me laugh, or she talked to me, she got a thought to me, and then I carried that thought a little further, or vice versa. Do you see the three-dimensional medium? And while we're doing that, she might say, "I just cooked a little bit of food here for us," and she went to the kitchen. The ambience of the kitchen, the smell of the food. Do you see the three-dimensional medium? So what I'm saying is language reduced, taken out of that medium, sounds like the same words, but you don't get the attention. It's like TV. There's no real person giving you attention, is there? There's no real person relating to you, is there? There's no real person building with you. You're living a vicarious life, and it's killing you. It's killing your psyches. What we're doing to kids by doing this is like, oh wow. So that's where I found Quantum River World, Hybrid World Builders. I said the hybrid world builder is not a cyber world. It's a human. We're going to use tech and a touch, but we're going to keep the human touch. You've got to have real places to go, real people who mentor you, who invest in you, who are real lives investing in real life. You have to keep the human medium. If you go back to 1910, John Wooden and my grandmother were both born in 1910. They both died the same year, age 99. Okay, now think about it. In that time, do you realize in 1910, only 10% of the American population lived in cities? Everybody lived in country. The good earth, the country, building a farm, building a ranch, kept you in three-dimensional reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Okay. Well, everybody knew whether you went to college or whether you got a job for a corporation, everybody you don't cheat the medium. What's the medium? Well, Wooden's pyramid of success creates it like a pyramid shape. It stands for three-dimensionality. You always are giving eye contact and thinking. You're always teamworking and trying to grow things. You're always trying to build something better. That's the medium. And guess what? It entwines the divine God, which is the Trinity, because that's the Trinity is a thinker, doer, builder. You're doing it with human beings for thinking, doing, building, and now the nature itself can be thought of as communicating, as growing, and as building to greater things. You've got a threefold medium, and what happens is you know all your words go with that. Doesn't matter what they say at the university. Come on, when I get out of the university, I got to live this medium. I got to produce. That's life itself. Well, what we've done is this is really key about the education system. The more your words are disassociated from three-dimensional living, they are images or they are orders. They're just orders telling you, you got to do this. That's not life. And that's no way to educate kids. You're supposed to look at your kids' eyes and pour yourself into them, draw out of them what education means. You talk to them, they talk back. You don't script them. For God's sake, you give love. Now, you can't cheat this. So if you say, well, you don't understand, Eric, I've got the internet all day long. So you're giving this to your kids. Let me tell you what they're doing to kids. As early as 3 and 4 age, they're giving them images, very often cartoons with lots of colors. They know there's a sort of semi-dopamine effect. What you're doing is you're taking your kids, little kids, and you're putting them in school, and you say, do this, or you're even coming home at your home, and you're letting your kids just watch the stupid screen all day long. You're weaning them away from attention giving to each other. And then if you don't give the attention, you sure as hell don't listen. Okay. If you don't give attention and listening, you can't grow. If you can't grow, you can never go on to be masters. So what we're doing is we're teaching them to reorient themselves for images without substance. So you have the trans problem. Okay. The trans problems, in my opinion, should be looking at this. If you're not in contact with your body, and then you say, well, whatever my point of view is what I am. Well, I'll tell you what. So I said, well, why shouldn't they be able to do that? I said, well, look, I don't care what they do one-on-one. If that's what they get 18 years, 20, I guess that's okay. Wow, but okay. But imagine I'm building houses and I call my plumber, Melissa, and I say, hey, I've got to do some building here on my project here. You're the plumber. I says, can I sign you up? He says, well, no, I've become Jerry the electrician. I said, well, okay. I guess I better get somebody else. And I call him if he wants to say, hey, Jerry, you're an electrician, right? I got some electrical work. He says, well, I'm not an electrician. I'm a roofer now. Here's the problem. In real life, if you have kids or people who aren't stable long enough, it takes time and development to develop skills and reason. So if you're going to break that and always atomize it to, well, this is my latest feeling, nobody can build. So you're really saying to a whole country, we're going to have a less and less workforce. And what's going to happen? Well, your whole Social Security is going to be destroyed one day. You're turning out, try to understand. You're not facing corruption in America. Corruption is where someone says, I know there is right. I know that we should be building people, and I do it, but I cheat so I can get a little ahead. That's corruption. We're not facing corruption. We're facing an education system and a media system that is symbol based. It is image without substance based, but then in order to make sure things happen, so the system comes out ahead, they give orders. So they're teaching you to be good little people who take orders. They're scripted. We're scripting people. It's disgusting. One of my quotes says, "What you can do with language as a tool is nothing compared to what you can do with language as a friend." Language is not some tool to manipulate people. It's the very heartbone. I give you contact. I see something in you. I share it with you. We go, wow, that's kind of cool to find out something about myself, and then to find out the skills and things I can do in the wow, a whole creation here. It's not all scarcity. It's not all war. There's lots of wow. There's sun. There's oceans. There's trees. Flowers. I don't see war everywhere. I don't even have to be having clubs, clubbing each other all the time. This whole gridlock stuff, all this. Well, what you're saying is we're going to insert a language in you. Now, here's another one. This is not symbol based. This is feudalism. I'm going to say reality has no central God. It has no central principles. It has no tree that we all are branches to. So it must instead be us versus them. And that's what happens with the whole Trump thing. Well, here's what the American people did. They gave a word to the media and the education system that we're not that divided. We may actually differ on abortion, on different issues, but we don't believe the American people should say, you're a Hitler, you're a fascist, you're deplorable. That's too much. Now, I'll give you an opinion now that we have to now, those of us who are in alternative media or those of us, I hate to say that if somebody's gone to Yale and built houses is strictly, we're the mainstream to tell you the truth. What I mean by mainstream is not what the mainstream just says, well, we are that. When there's a real river between you and each other people of attention giving, building each other, of developing and growing each other, that's mainstream. When there's real, you can feel the love. When you can feel it, and if you two-way conversations is the root of culture. You share and I listen, then you and I share. You cannot have people going around the country saying, "I hate MAGA people," or you can go the other way around. If you really hated the far lefties, yeah, but the point here is that uh, on a language level, you cannot cheat three-dimensional. So even though language is important, on the other side, you must match up with three-dimensional reality. If you that three-dimensional reality is think and communicate, work and develop, build and raise up greater enterprises. You have to be all three in order to live three-dimensionally. This is not a social construct. This is not an idea. This is how life is, baby. And if you're going to train people up so they can't do that, you're crippling them for life. So what they call this education system deconstructionism. It was created by Friedrich Nietzsche. His great protege was Adolf Hitler. Nietzsche created deconstruction of education as a way of deconstructing the ties between the children and their adults, between their society. You completely alienate them. What you tell us is you have your own self. You are self-determining. No one else. If you want to be a dog, you want to be a cat. But here's one thing you can't do. You can't go work with real people. You can't. You can't work. That's cheating. No. You have to be so self-determinate that you can't even talk to other people who don't agree with every little iota. So you see that in our society, don't you? I mean, you can't hardly miss it, right?
Oh,
So,
definitely.
so and I could go on and on, but listen, what you have now is you have what I call an education system, the new Berlin, the new Iron Curtain. No one's supposed to go in and tell them real life stories. No one's supposed to use real language. It's very important to those who manipulate language that you have a completely captive audience. Uh, Now, I know how they think. They want to put you in a box, and then inside the box, they're going to paint lots of pretty pictures like this is reality. Um, I'll tell you what, reality will come home to roost. So for the next 4 years, my friend, Melissa, I mean, I'm out there. I want to say to all Americans, you got a reprieve. Where we've gone now in our society is this: there's not only the image with substance at the bottom, which is throughout our Google and all our media. And we not only had the feudalism of turning people against each other all the time, we have a third force. That force is that in our time, the big for the big. Watch this. It's what I wrote about this morning to you for Trump. Was for a long time there were just two T-Rexes: big government and big money, and we thought they were fighting each other. And in a sort of way, the Democrats were on the side of big government, and the Republicans were okay with big business. Uh, but in that world, there were still enough roots, especially in the free West and in Jesus Christ, that the small, the middle, and the big are still human beings. They put their trousers on the same way. Imagine that that's the background that we all thought was just the norm. We don't, but imagine our big people one day said, uh, if I'm big business and I attack the big government, that beast fights back. They'll regulate me or something. Meanwhile, the big government says, if I attack big corporations, those people will fund campaigns against me. So who are we going to eat? Little people and middle class people, which is what they've been doing. So there's an aha moment, Melissa. If you can get this across to your people, then we've done a great deal today. We no longer have the big agreeing to the small, middle, and big together. The big are saying we identify with other elites on the other side of the aisle and across the world more than we do the American people. We don't really identify with the American small person or the American middle class. We are the big for the big. Now, in order to sell this, they had to get a third T-Rex, big media. The job of big media is to create a one-sided narrative that nobody questions. And so what they're doing is saying, because they question, they'll start saying, wait a minute, it looks like the big people are helping each other and the small and the middle people are getting devoured. That's what is happening. That's a language, though. That's a language switch. It's not necessarily, it does have actions and policies, but it starts with they literally have broken, and it really is overthrowing both the free West and Jesus Christ. Because Jesus Christ says, hey, I love the small, I love the middle, I love the big, and I'll show them how to act with one tree. So they're chopping down that tree, and they're saying, we will be the new tree out of our own guts, which is Nietzsche. That we don't need God, we don't need freedom, we don't need the free West. Out of our own guts, well, that's what your elites are doing, Melissa. Your elites are saying, hey, look, we're gods. We don't have any checks on our morals. We don't have morals. That's why they're not corrupt. They're insane. A corrupt person says, I know there's right things to do and we shouldn't do this to people, but I'm making money. An insane person says, what do you mean morals? What do you mean rights? It's whatever I say it is. The image kids at the bottom, maybe even some of the trans ones. Well, this is beyond trans. It's everywhere. Did I lose you?
No, definitely. No, it makes a lot of sense. So it's like you have people, well, they're just basically saying, we're going to make up the rules. We're the ones who are going to be, we're not going to have anybody who can, question the things that we say is the way it's going to be, basically.
Exactly. Now, here's where, because at any point we'll be done. But so I'll suggest this to American people: you have a reprieve. You are in 1776. We had to fight to resist the global English imperial order, and we wanted American sovereignty. We decided that having a country on our side was better than just the globe telling us what to do. We're there, baby. We're back to it. They want to have a global order in which the America first is over, the sovereignty is over, and they are not going to quit because Trump just got into office. They are going to regroup, and they're going to come out hard and fast and heavy. So this is my word to the American people. You got these 4 years to not concentrate on just business as usual. You've got to make sure, both of you, liberals and conservatives, even libertarians and the Green Party, anybody, you have to decide, do you want a country on your side? Because that's the game that's being played. Do you want it taken away? And you're just going to say, oh, well, we have some cute words. There it goes back to language war. The top people have hired and worked hard to create a language war in which they keep the dominance of the narrative. Their narrative, that's why they want COVID. That's why they always wanted free trade with no cost as a language, and why they want political, all that stuff. Those kind of languages were attempt to say, we alone get to talk. Anybody who talks out of this is, a conspiracy nut or this. We have to break that. I'll just say this. God has engineered this battle to not be a physical war or a civil war, but a language war where you're going to examine what language does, what mindsets are doing. That makes sense, Melissa?
Yeah,
We can't get out of it.
absolutely.
We can't get out of it
Yeah,
because the
absolutely. And now I know you had also referred to President Trump before he was president as a master builder. So now what makes you like how would you like consider him that? Like what are some of the qualities?
oh, very clearly. Watch this. The guiding language in education for up to 75 to 85% of it is deconstructionism. Well, deconstructionism says we're not going to succeed by forward new building. We're going to tear down old systems and then somehow out of that, the phoenix bird will rise. So here's Trump, ace construction. Here's education and the media, deconstruction. Now, what happens when you're sold out in deconstruction is you're taught. You're not just guessing, you're taught. We have to tear down the old because we can't do anything as long as the old's there. So it's not our fault. It's not because we don't produce. So we don't have to even worry about producing. We don't have to do a good job. There's no good job. We're tearing you down. I mean, think what we're doing with Biden and things. We're sending U.S. missiles to bomb Russia. That's like triggering a nuclear war. Who would be that stupid? Only if you thought by tearing down that would you finally get what you want. Trump, okay, think about this. The very essence of language for a builder is a concept is you can think it or say it, you can do it, and you can build it. You can do all three. The academic and the usual media definition of a concept is a general idea, image, or intention. Life is, Aristotle said, nothing is just general. Everything is specific. So if you can do something specifically, learn it, you can do something in all of reality. But the opposite's the case. General to general to general means you don't know how to do anything specifically. So our entire education system is infected with uh, whole picture first, and that's exactly what it is. It's a picture. No one knows how to do anything with it. So we have psychology 101. We're going to teach you down. Then you're going to go sociology 101. Go study under real people, specific people. That's why I went to Yale. I didn't go to Yale for the degree. I went to study under Roland Bateman and Dr. Paul Homer, and I got it. That's what you want. You don't want fancy names and images. You want real people. And that's what you should be pursuing. I'm going to be a real person. I'm going to be a firestorm of thought, of love, of compassion, of work, of energy, of teamwork. Man, we're going to build something here. We need to be forward new builders and culture creators. Okay, so you can tell I'm fired up about this. I'll tell you a cute story, Kat. When I was a boy, at 5 years old, next door to my granddad's acre and a half, Vern and Marie Aiken had an acre and a half. And I'd go over and play, and they had chickens, and they had a long run. And one day, I was only 5, the chickens chased me. I ran all the way down to the fence, and all I could do was turn around. So I turned around and I chased the chickens the other way. Well, that's where we are. That's where we are with these elites. In other words, they're going to push us, push us, push us. There's nowhere to go. If we don't have a country, what they will do to people, you cannot imagine. You cannot imagine what they will do. So we're forced to say, okay, and we're not in a civil war. We're in a language war. You should say, look, we don't want to take just image without substance. We don't want just symbolic living. We want people who can live three-dimensionally. We don't want feudal societies where everybody fighting each other. Cooperation is a lot better. And we don't want some tyrants telling us orders. We thank you, please. We can think, we can work, we can build, we can lead, we can make history. Now, I will say this: we're going to be pressed to do all five. We can't get out of it. If we are 5 loose fingers and not one hand, we just don't have enough. There's big money, there's big pharma, there's big government. But once the American people, we are going to be tested economically and by other trends, coming. The way out is to have great unity, but it's not the unity of like, well, whatever you do and whatever I do. It's the unity of these 5 categories, one hand. We know how to talk together. We know how to communicate together. We know how to work together. We know how to build together. We need to have a way of synchronizing everybody. And that's where the books of quotes come in again. I want everybody to be using language to strengthen each other and to synchronize them. We're on the same page. So here's the thing about quotes. If I talk to you and I don't just I listen, then I give 10 or 20 quotes that really seem to match up your language, you'll enjoy it. You'll let me in. But you also won't hate me either anymore. In other words, you say, "Well, Eric is I love what he said about love. I thought that was really cool." There's no more hyper, "I'm a Hitler." Right now, we have it like somebody say, no, I say, "Hey, I believe in freedom. I voted for Trump." "Oh, you're a Hitler." You say, "Well, wait a minute here. Let me show you these other quotes." And this person goes through and said, "Wow, I kinda like those." I'm trying to put the American people back in conversation.